it's Yaz from Yorkshire Peaches Therapies and welcome back to another episode of Hop, Skip and a Jump. Today I'm joined by the incredible Helen from Roots to Rehab. I met Helen about a year ago when she attended my day seminar, You Can't Train Away Pain. In today's session, we chat through what it looks like running a mobile underwater treadmill business, and we chat through some of our favourite cases to work on. So let's get to it. So Helen, tell me, how did you get into the therapy space?
So, I nursed my dad for 9 years.
Did you?
Then I lost my dad. And I'd done nursing in the past, like auxiliary nursing and everything like that. And then I lost my dad, and I was like, they wanted me to go and do Macmillan, and I was like, I'm done with people. So I'd never been on holiday before for 9 years while I was nursing through the bad patch, and I'd known I'd had my dogs. So I went and went to a Borders, met Gary and Jackie, become really good friends, started dog walking with them.
Yeah.
Got into it that way, and then initially I looked at grooming, and not for me.
It's that I tell you what, groomers have one of the hardest jobs in the animal industry. I couldn't do what they do.
Holding them, and I know you've got to because you've got scissors near their eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah, not for me.
And as well, like it's really like labour intensive.
Yeah.
So is grooming. It knackers the shoulders and everything.
Tried, but not for me. And then I was like, what else? Because I knew I wanted to do something animal related. So then I looked at hydro.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is a bit of me. Found a course, did the course.
Yeah.
We was going to open a centre, and then I was like, it's really a lot of overheads.
Yeah.
Can we do it mobile? So like, is it even possible? Rung a few like treadmill companies. They were like, no, it's not possible because of the water and everything else. So I googled it and I found one. The only one in the UK was in London. So I was like, so it is possible. So then I started doing my research. Found that you can get a treadmill. You have to get it from Germany.
Why Germany? Is that just...
That's the only ones who make them mobile.
Right, okay.
We don't do them in this country, so you have to import them.
Really?
So that's when the journey begun. So then I was like, need to find a van. Found the van. Got the treadmill. Then Trevor, who I know is a brilliant mechanic, I was like, can you do something? And so he put the cupboards in and everything, and that's where it all became. And then from there, just the passion just went and went and went. That's why now I want to do like
the massage and anything. Once you start with, I found that when I did my base qualification in massage, which was 5 or 6 years ago, that was the start of the. Just making sure I'm still recording. I was like, if I don't press record, I'm gonna go mad. That was the start of the journey.
Yeah. And
then I've gone on to do other qualifications in loads of different bits and pieces. But I'd say, like, for any kind of therapists that are just starting out, even when you've got your base qualification, that's not, done and dusted. That's the start. That's to give you the paperwork to say that you can do what you can do. And then you need to kind of like niche into what interests you. So for me, that ended up being pain. It took me a while to get there, but it is just pain management that I deal with now. What are your favourite cases to deal with?
I always like a challenge.
Oh.
So I always like it when you've got a dog that particularly don't like the hydro.
Yes.
That's stressed. And I'm like, that's a challenge. And I'm like, I will make you love me. Yeah, you will enjoy coming to hydro and be dead excited to get in. So Megan, the Sealyham Terrier, when I first met Megan, her owner said, we have to muzzle her at the vets, shall we muzzle her? And I was like, absolutely not. We do not muzzle. I was like, it's a safe space. It's supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be helping her. I want her to come out of the session feeling good. So first time I met, I don't always follow the rule book, as in you have to do the measurements, you have to get hands on. If they don't want me to measure them, if they don't want me to touch their back legs, spine, any particular, I will not.
I think that's where kind of we align so much, is that aspect of it. So I know that with, like the likes of physiotherapy and hydrotherapy and stuff, you are looking for those objective measures. However, putting the dog's emotional needs first is going to be so important, especially when we're dealing with traumatised dogs.
So Megan, I went to feel her, and she snapped. I was like, fine, we don't do your measurements today. Now, Megan is the most excited. She gets in, I can do a flexion or extension. I can feel her spine. She lets me do, if she's having a particular bad day, she'll get in the treadmill and I'll go towards the back end and she'll just turn a bum and put it towards the back and go, I'm alright, thanks today. And I'll be like, no problem.
It's all communication, isn't it? And when they first start, that communication can look quite big because they don't know yet that actually you're willing to listen to them and willing to take the time with them.
Because it's their session.
Yeah.
It's not mine, it's not their owners, it's their session. So it's all, I like a challenge.
Yes.
And I'm never restricted to time, so everybody's got, unless I'm like travelling here, there and everywhere like I do. But if I have a new patient, I tend to always do them at the end of the day. Then if it takes 2 hours, it takes 3 hours.
Yeah.
It takes that time.
Yeah, I like to do initial sessions at the end of the day. Because as well, like, it's about making sure that the customer feels supported as well as the patient as well. So, what was I going to ask you then? I had a question in my head that I was going to ask you. It's gone. It's gone. Sorry, it'll come back and then I'll interrupt you really rudely.
Said that's a lie.
No, it's not a lie. It's not a lie, Grandma. It's not. No, I did have a question to ask. Governing bodies. Talk to me about governing bodies.
So, with hydro, it's normally the NARC and the CHA.
Yes.
I am a rule breaker.
She is a rule breaker. But listen, people, listen, because this is interesting.
So, I can't get my van accredited by the NARC or the CHA because you have to have a certain setup, you have to use chemicals, you have to jump through numerous hoops, and my van would not pass as a safe centre to house a dog and a person. And also, I don't use chemicals. My treadmill goes through 2 filter systems and an ultraviolet light. Yeah. So it is as safe as chemicals.
And is that the standard in Germany?
Yeah.
Because if they've built it like that, then surely that's going to be part of their standards.
When we first got it, I was like, can I use chemicals in this? Like, we don't need to because it is just as safe as ones that are using chemicals. Now, obviously, I don't have the facility because normally when you do to a house, they hose them before and they hose them after to take the chemicals off. I don't have that facility being mobile. Plus, as well, a lot of them get in and drink the water.
Yeah.
So I can say drink away.
Yeah. You know that it's
just water. Yeah. It's funny. I have a big Akita Shiba Inu, and he sheds so much. When I've done him, I have to go back for a deep clean because it's just horrific. And he will drink, and then he starts coughing. I'm like, you're drinking your fur. Stop drinking your fur.
It's like I'm thirsty boy.
Yeah, thirsty. So I'm not. Yeah, I'm qualified, and I'm regulated in my own right, but my van isn't regulated.
For me, it really irks me that you're not kind of like been allowed to be part of these governing bodies when we know how unregulated the animal industry is, right?
Yeah.
I've seen quotation marks pools that use cold water that's set up in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? And I'm like, they're not part of a governing body. They have absolutely no intention of being part of a governing body.
Let's have swim parties.
Pool parties, yeah.
I'm at my dog's having a birthday party in the pool and they're all going to
dry drown in the pool. I mean, that's a bit dramatic, but still, though, it can happen. Whereas you've done your qualifications, you've had this really expensive equipment imported from Germany, and because you don't fit into the bracket of what they want you to be, they're like, meh. And that's not to discredit the governing bodies, but I think it's time that we start, opening our eyes and branching out a bit. Not to say that, the cold pool or the outdoor pools, you're seeing them a lot.
Yeah.
I don't agree with them. I don't agree with them because most of the times it's not qualified professionals and it's cold.
Yeah,
cold water.
My water is warm.
Yes.
If winter, I tend to heat it higher. So if I'm like going to Halifax,
yeah.
I know by the time I get there, it'll be the right temperature. If I get somewhere and it's just not right, I'm like, give me 10 minutes. Click it on and it'll be up.
Because it's important. So why is water temperature so important?
So the water temperature, it relaxes all the muscles. Obviously, if you get in cold water, you go... Which you do, don't I? I remember being on holiday with my husband and we jumped to this pool and I was like, this is fit for penguins. This is horrific. So if you put a dog in a cold water, instantly all their muscles, their joints, they're just going to tighten.
Yeah.
My job is to help release all that tension.
Yeah.
So the warm water helps release the muscle, the tension, and relax it, and then
because it'll promote blood flow, won't it?
Promote blood flow. Yeah. It just the cohesion of everything in the water, the blood flow, the muscles relaxing. That's why it's got
having a warm bath.
Yeah.
It's a very different experience than having a cold water.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the same experience.
Because I think as well, like when people see these, like fun outdoor swims and things like that, the thing that drives me absolutely crackers is the risk of swimmer's tail is absolutely massive.
Yeah.
I saw someone on Instagram actively promoting cold water swimming for dogs. And I said, do you know what the issue is? I was like, it's the dogs running around and they're really hot.
Yeah.
And they go from being really hot to really cold. You are asking for swimmer's tail. You then take into account dogs like Labradors that can, the swimmer's tail can occur from being in the water too much and, And once you've had a dog that's had swimmer's tail and it's really bloody painful as well, like if your dog has any signs of swimmer's tail, you've got to get some pain relief on board because it is absolute agony. But once they've had it once, they are so prone to getting it again.
It's like ear infections and stuff.
It just creates a weakness in that area. Yeah. And if you're not, say, like drying your dog off properly afterwards, because I gave my Snoopy swimmer's tail, This was obviously years ago.
Yeah.
Took him on a walk and went for a walk around Ponty Racecourse. Came back and he was still a bit hot. I said, don't worry, son, I'll hose you down, I'll get you. And I put cold water on his back.
Yeah.
And then his tail went really weird, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Broke him.
Yeah, and he never got back that straight beagle tail ever. But we took him to the vets. He went on pain relief and stuff, but it never went back. It never went back to normal.
People don't even. It's a thing that people
didn't even know.
No.
I didn't even think about it. So another thing for you as well is making sure that dogs are covered up after they've been.
So they have a little dry robe. Keep them warm, and I say keep that on them until the dry, because it'll bring the muscles down slowly. I'm like, if you go to the gym, you do a cool down. I obviously go to the gym.
Yes,
and you do a cool down for your muscles.
Yeah.
If you're just going to take your dog from hydro and walk it outside, even on a warm day, the muscles are just going to constrict.
And the breeze as well.
Yeah,
again,
it's
like,
just
they're going to get a chill.
And they're in a wet coat.
Yeah.
You try and like dry quite warmly in a wet coat.
Yeah.
No, so put a dry robe on them and it just soaks it and then they dry all nicely.
Is it microfiber? It's like microfiber, so
just pulls it out and they'll dry quicker as well.
Yeah.
And it just keep them warm and keep the joints and everything.
Yeah. When I remember I wrote an article, this was years ago for Gun Dog Journal, to try and encourage the gun dog community that it's in between drives, so when you go out and drive and stuff, these dogs are trashing through really tough terrain. They're most of the time absolutely soaking wet because the weather's absolutely appalling. And then they get put back in the pickup or whatever whilst everyone has lunch. I'm like, if we could just pop a dry robe on them to pull the moisture out the coat, it's going to put them in a better stead for when they go back out again.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if they had a big influx of dry robes, but I don't think they did. But I know it's starting to get more popular with the likes of Rough and Tumble, for example.
Yeah,
they're getting more popular in gun dogs.
There is more people, and it's like sometimes when you mention coats and stuff for winter, and they look at
they've already got a coat,
and I'm like, no, come on,
God.
Yeah, and you're like,
that's like saying like you can't wear a hat because you've got hair.
Sorry, Rob.
Like, Rodney's like, please don't stop judging. Excuse me, madam. But it's like, for me, or when people go, why are you picking them up, they've got legs. I'm like, well, actually, my dog's got an orthopaedic condition, so why don't you wind your neck in?
Yeah.
And don't tell me how to parent my kids.
Yeah, precisely. But yeah, I find as well, I'll get a lot of my regulars, they dip out through summer.
Yes.
Because it's warm. The
dogs
are
doing
really well.
Yeah, summer is a quiet one for me as well.
And then winter comes and then
stacked out.
Yeah, they just go, the joints are sore, the arthritis is flared up and everything else. And I just think if you put, now all my clients are brilliant. They'll all have coats, they listen.
Yeah.
I'm like, make sure she's got a coat on. Especially like Megan, the Celium. She was like, brilliant. And Megan's doing really, really well.
Good.
So, yeah.
It's making a difference. Yeah, it is. I find that it does. I get quieter during summer, and then winter I'm absolutely stacked out.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is the fluctuation in temperature and conditions. Obviously, we live in the UK, so it's very wet.
Yeah.
It's very damp. And what that does is it changes the consistency of the synovial fluid in the joints. So if you've got a dog, this is how I always explain it to pet parents. So you've got an arthritic joint, and inside that joint you have soup. So when you do you remember this analogy?
Yeah.
I use it all the time because it's minging, but people remember it.
Yeah.
So you put that can of soup into a pan, and when it's cold, it's quite thick and it's claggy. But when it's heated up, it starts to thin out. Yeah. So when that synovial fluid is nice and thin, it just makes the joint move a little bit easier. However, when it's cold, the consistency, the viscosity changes, and it makes it more difficult and more painful. And the weather has a huge impact on that.
Yeah, it does.
Huge impact. How it's I forget what it's called now. Is it barometric pressure? So there's a change in pressure, in air pressure.
Yes.
That can impact pain.
Yeah.
It can also impact dogs that have epilepsy, so it can induce seizures. Yeah. That's how dogs know that storms are coming. It's the change in pressure in the air. Yeah.
My dad always had barometers in the house, on the wall. You're never allowed to tap them hard as you get done. Tap it, move it a bit. We're going to have dry,
Hey, I need to get one of them.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could.
You can buy them, barometers.
What? Oh, I'm going to get myself one of them. I'm going to treat myself to a barometer. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? That sounds how sad are we? But no, it's important because when you're dealing with a painful dog or any therapy with any dog, it's not just about your therapy and what you're doing in that moment. There's so much to talk about with lifestyle, feeding, exercise.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a case of you put the dog in the treadmill, you do your job and you sit in silence.
Yeah, no.
It's about conversation, isn't it?
It's like you say with because when I do my full history, I always ask what flooring you've got in your house.
Yeah.
Because that's massive for slipping and arthritic dogs.
Yes,
and,
God.
Then you're like, would you be happy to have like loads of runners around your house? And a lot of people don't want to do it. And you're like, there used to be a thing and I rated it and they stopped doing it. It was called paw friction. And it used to be on the CAM website.
Yeah.
They advocated it as well. And it was basically a dog friendly glue. And then it was like as if we put tote socks on, in winter. Yes. And then you dipped it in and it was like a little rubber and it put the paws blue and it lasted about a fortnight and it stopped them.
Slipping.
But apparently they've stopped it and I'm like...
Oh, I know you can't... Have you ever tried toe grips?
Yeah, I've not had much...
I've not tried them before because most of the dogs that I've got are so sensitive. Like,
yeah, they're just like, what are you doing? Yeah.
It'd be good though for groomers to try out, see what they reckon, because looking at nail wear, that's something that I do a lot. I do a lot of reflexology and stuff, so looking at how the nails are wearing is a really good indication of how the dog's weight bearing. If they're scuffing, if they're dragging the feet, if they're weight bearing kind of on those outer toes. Because what I find, so when I'm looking at a dog's paw, I want to see like a little gap in between. Because if they're kind of all crunkled up together, and for people on the podcast, crunkled means, how would you even describe that? Like all crammed together, like crushed together.
Yeah.
Right. So when they're crunkled, which is a technical term, that's obviously not ideal. But then you have those toes that are really widespread, or you have the two outer digits are really widespread, and it's like the two in the middle. They're like forgotten about.
Yeah, they're just...
You're putting so much excess on the outside.
The rock star dogs.
A little bit. Rock star dogs. That's really good. We need to do a post about that. That's me. But yeah, if you've got a little rock star dog, you can't be a rock star all the time.
No,
can you? It's not safe. You need to make sure you're using your toes properly. So I use a lot of reflexology just to remind them. Do you know you got a couple of toes that you weren't using?
Yeah.
Because I've had dogs with like severe hip dysplasia who've responded really well to reflexology and just touching on those pressure points and just bringing blood flow back to that area and just getting the nerves talking.
It becomes habit as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk this way.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you can
Yeah, it's not like a conscious decision, is it?
No, it's just that's how it's less painful if I walk this way.
Yeah.
And
then it becomes an ingrained behaviour. Yeah. One of the if you've got a dog that's, again, it's going to be case to case dependent, but if you've got a dog that's really kind of like sluggish on their feet, which can happen with older dogs because things start to slow down, circulation starts to slow down, so we get cold feet, we get cold tootsies. That's another thing I'm really obsessive about, especially in winter, is just checking their ears and checking their little tootsies to make sure, and tip of the tail as well. If they're cold, I go, right, okay, what can we do to promote circulation? Like, I love rose hips, so like rose hip teas and things like that. Little lavender wheat bag before they go out. Bit of Fatizo, drawing heat into that area. What was I going to say about toes? I was saying something about, I had another point to make about toes.
I was talking about how they were split, and then reflexology, and now you can alter them to looking at nails and stuff. Yeah,
so I had a dog with severe hip dysplasia. You know when they start to change the weight bearing and they start to, it's like they're almost walking on their heels.
And then they get the calluses.
They get the calluses and they get the hair loss.
Yeah.
I had a dog that, from doing reflexology, so I did it every session and Mum did it at home with the dog. I think it was like every night because the dog really, really enjoyed reflexology. He started changing and how he would distribute his weight, and he started to have fur grow back. I know.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? I mean, it's very kind of like small cases where I can use reflexology because
a lot of dogs are like, do not touch. Doing the proprioception for me when I'm testing that, they're like,
get away from me.
I'm like, come on, put it down. It's normally my ones that can't they're like, yeah, I can't flex that back, Helen. And I'm like, brilliant.
So we've talked about, you really like working with complex cases. Do you have, I love asking therapists this question, do you have a favourite joint that you like to work with? So my favourite's the stifle. Love the stifle. Love a luxating patella.
Oh, I get...
A medial luxating patella. Yeah. Not lateral, they freak me out.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
Yeah. Don't know. Probably legs and patellas because spinal in the treadmill, it's very like keeping them aligned and working that. With the legs, because obviously they throw them.
Yeah.
You've got your lateral rotation or your medial rotation or your circumduction. So I like to add little bits in because then that's where I can do more as well with with the harness.
Yeah.
You can tie like a TerraBand, put that around the hock so they're using the full range of movement. Also, this is why I've always got loads of hair bubbles because because what you do is you put it on and then you put it around their ankle like that, and then I don't know if this one will be big enough, and you flick it like that to go through the middle toe.
Right.
So it doesn't hurt them, but it's like they've got a stone in the shoe.
So that it makes
them
that
and use the full range. So you can do that for like a minute. Then most of them look at me as if they're, are you taking the piss out of me?
Yes, I am, but it works.
Yeah, they literally will use their full range of movement.
Right, okay.
I've had one that had luxating patella, had TPLO, and did lots of little, and within 7 weeks that muscle were back and they were walking fine.
Whoa.
So we did 7 weekly sessions, and then I could discharge them.
So for you, because I always talk about consistency in sessions. So if you are, when I'm working with pet parents, I go, what is your goal? What are you wanting to achieve out of these sessions? So it could be that they want their dog just to be comfortable, which is kind of usually the answer. Yeah. Or it could be, I'd really like to get to a place where we could, go on a longer walk, or we could go on like adventure days and stuff like that, and go, right, okay. Obviously, if they bring a 14-year-old collie to me and go, I want to start my agility career, it's about going, right, okay, we need to just lower our expectations because not Pret, I would be recommending that. But what about hoopers? You could start doing hoopers instead. So it's about meeting the customer where they're at, but understanding the goals of treatment is really important. I don't even know where I was going with that.
You were starting with consistency.
Yes, consistency. So when I'm talking to people about frequency of sessions, I'm like, if you come to me once every 2 months, you are not going to see the benefit of massage. However, some people come to me once every 2 months because they just want to touch base and go...
Maintenance.
Maintenance, we want to, because obviously I'm based in Castleford and I have a lot of people that travel to me, it's just not feasible to come all the time, so I'm like, right, okay, use me as a sounding board, so fetch your dog, I'll do like a little check-in with your dog, we'll have a chat about, the physio you've been having or the hydrotherapy you've been having, or, okay, these are the tweaks that I'd be looking at, we can talk about diet, we can talk about herbs, so sometimes people use me in that capacity. I do have one dog that I see every 8 weeks, but he started off, crikey, he was one of my first doggies to come see me. We started off weekly, then fortnightly, then 3 weeks, then 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and then now we're up to 8 weeks, and that's just
brilliant.
That's just his maintenance. That's what fits with him. But it's consistency. You consistently had to build up to that.
Yes.
Usually, because with that particular dog, he has mild hock arthritis, and there isn't much else kind of going on.
No.
He's just an older boy.
Yeah.
So it's just to keep him kind of ticking along. Whereas with my kind of more complex cases, well, if we've got like a diagnosis of hip dysplasia, ideally we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks. I need to be seeing him, but we have to build up to that.
Yes.
I've got an amputee that we do every 2 weeks, and I think I was away working, and the diaries didn't match up. So we had to do 3 weeks, and it completely
threw it out.
Threw it all to shit. We were like, okay, so it's always a bit of a risk, I find, kind of increasing that frequency. But I always recommend, like Fertizo, which helps just make that journey a little bit smoother. Make sure you're doing your massage at home and rest days and and all of that. What would you say then? Is your idea of consistency, is that usually weekly? So they do a block, or is it?
So I don't do blocks. I used to when I started, and then I'm like, no, it's all on a case-to-case basis. So like my spinals, IVDD case and stuff, I'll probably find that I'll be with them for a foreseeable. So normally when, like Dottie who I've got at the minute, because she's completely paralysed.
What breed?
Dachshund.
Oh.
My breed of choice.
Your breed of choice, and I'm like, stop getting more Dachshunds.
I just love them.
I know you do.
They're proper dickheads, and I love them.
Yeah, I love Romanian rescues, feral Romanian rescues, and I will absolutely get another one at some point, because I'm a dick.
Yeah. So Dottie, grade 5, but she's actually, it made me so happy. So we've been on the isolation plate, I could rest a bum, she's walking. Then this week we've come off the isolation plate.
Just talk me through the isolation.
So the isolation is, it's just a plate. It goes in the treadmill. They can put their front paws or their back paws.
Yes. Okay.
So then I can only work the back. Right. So obviously, when they're first disabled, if you put the front paws on, normally it's all me working that leg.
Yeah.
Get the memory, the muscle. Oh, this is what this leg does.
Yeah.
Walking them in the water, and we do that and bit of massage, have a break. So then we've built up now, so she knows, she's like, oh, actually my legs do this. So in the water with support, she will walk her legs.
Nice.
We've now built, so then we finish, we come off the isolation plate this week, she had a floaty harness on, not normal, and she was walking in the front, and with support she is using her back.
Amazing.
So Ralph was the same when I met Ralph. Ralph is now walking on land, and he's doing phenomenal.
How long did it take for you to get to that stage?
With IVDD, it's all base cases.
Yeah.
So Ralph took, I think about 3 months.
Okay. Consistent. Was that
2 weekly?
Oh, every fortnight.
2 a week.
Okay.
No,
yeah.
2 in a week.
2 a week.
2 a week.
Wow. So really dedicated pet parents.
Yeah,
then.
2 a week he had. He's now gone to 1 a week.
Yeah.
His owners are lucky. They're in Peru at the minute, living the best life.
Oh.
Gone to Peru for a month.
Oh, jammy gets.
I know. So I'll be seeing Ralph when he comes back. But Dottie's on 2 a minute at the week, so I'll see him Mondays, Fridays, and then we'll drop it to once a week.
Yeah.
And that's what Ralph is at the minute. He's on once a week. She says we might have to up it to twice when she comes back because he's had a month off. But we'll see how he's done. And then hopefully it'll go down and down. So then it might be like once a fortnight, and then we'll go once every 3 weeks, once a month, and then it might just be they dip in every 6 weeks.
Yeah. So your maintenance is like 4 to 6
so
weeks.
it all depends on them, what they need, what they require. Dottie's been going on longer, but Dottie got poorly, so we had to have a break.
Yeah.
So we had a big break, then we went once a week, and now we're back on twice a week, and you can see the twice a week, massive difference.
Nice.
really just comes on so much.
Yeah.
When I see him walking, for somebody that's been like completely dragging the legs, even when I went
that's really emotional to say
that.
Yeah.
Honestly, on Monday I went and she's a right rat bag. She's typical dash out. So she's proper like nasty. she could be like, I'm your mate. I'm not your mate. She was like lifting her bum. So the hocks are powering. They're getting there. They're like, come on, come on, I'm getting it. And so to see her walking in the treadmill, even just with me holding her bum and then letting go, and don't get me wrong, it's the worst gait pattern you've ever seen. It's proper A taxi. She's proper drunk gait. Yeah. But she's walking. That motion of I've got to do this.
And you're building on it as well. It's don't you just find that dogs are just so resilient?
Oh, just amazing.
They can because I imagine with human rehab, for someone who's had a stroke or something, or a spinal injury, something like that. There's so many other things that come into play. There's obviously there's a huge emotional component of this is what my life used to look like, and this is what my life looks like now. Whereas with dogs, I think they're almost a little bit lucky in a way, aren't they?
It was quite funny because her owner took her up a hill, and there's a bit of grass near her house in Halifax, and she had a daughter on her, and she says, and she took because her physio Frankie said, let her off her wheels on the grass. Let her get going. See how she does, because she is got that motion.
And also on the grass.
It's not gonna scuff herself. And Megan said, I'm not supposed to say this, but never mind. She won't mind. She set off running. Dottie set off running downhill.
Oh Jesus!
But could use her legs. She was using her legs, and she said, I didn't know where to go. Stop, Dottie! But then she was like, well done, Dottie! Because she full on, because she was going downhill, got momentum up, and was just like, So it was. But she said, I didn't know whether to shout at her or applaud her. So we're gonna have to get her flying down more hills.
God almighty, as a therapist, we all collectively went, oh shit, okay, yes, okay. That's amazing. With are you wanting up? When we have cases like that, because you have quite a few spinal cases, don't you? They don't tend to come. I have dogs with historical spinal issues, but I always say say for example with the likes of IVDD, if we're post-surgical or we're very early stages, for me it's more physiotherapist and hydrotherapist territory, because we've got a very small working window to get things going again. So it tends to be that spinal cases will come to me years down the line, and it's like, okay, this we kind of plateaued at this gait pattern, and now we just need help with the pain management aspect of it. And I'm more than happy sitting in that realm.
I would say majority of my clients at the minute are spine. Majority.
And underwater treadmill is so important for spinal cases.
Because you've more control than the pool.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of mine as well. That's another thing where I break the rules with the CHF. You have to have a harness on them. You have to. If you've got
a treadmill.
If you've got a dog in a treadmill without a harness on, you're breaking their rules, and they could strip you of your
title. Crikey.
So, but I will. If I have a dog that will not walk with I'm literally there. If they drowned, I would open them doors and flood my van. Do not care. I'd be straight in and get them. And I have certain dogs, especially when they've got spinal and they're in pain or...
So sensitive. Because there's nothing really out there to secure a dog that's got a spinal problem. There's nothing. There's nothing they can kind of stand into, because everything is always going to cover the spine. Obviously you can use a collar, but
or you can... I had one particular dog, and Dudley, he hated it. He wouldn't let me... Dudley, he wouldn't let me touch him or anything. So what I did, because I couldn't do the walking... Hi, Bex. Couldn't do the walking with him, so I used a swim noodle. And I held him up with a swim noodle.
Yes.
And I let him get his momentum going, and then eventually he trusted me. He's like, go on, you can touch me. But at the beginning I was like, fine, let's do swim noodles. So if a particular dog hates having a harness on, I won't make him wear a harness.
It's when I trained in massage, one of the things was that you can't sit on your bum.
Yes.
Can't sit on your bum. I spend all of my life sat on my ass because that's just...
I just learned that in my first section. I was like, I'm going to struggle at the weekend with my knees.
Honestly, because the reason is to keep you safe.
Yeah.
So if a dog goes for you, you can quickly put a lot of distance between you. Me, I'm going to teddy bear.
I'd be like,
I'm a teddy bear
I got my knees.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to teddy bear roll out of this situation. You know, like I'm quicker doing that than I am with my knees because the dog will be hanging off my face. I go, hang on a minute, my back's gone, my leg's gone dead. So, and like you can, I remember when I was training, like sitting on a stool, and I'm like, I'm not doing that and kind of like grappling over a dog. What's your thoughts? Because obviously you're starting your massage training now.
Yes.
And we're taught to massage on the floor. But there's some shit and corruption, Lily. She's like, look how good I am at climbing.
Well done.
For people on the podcast, Lily was pissing about on the sofa and Helen caught her as she fell. So, some therapists are taught to massage on tables with dogs. No, it's not the one for me. I can do it with Lily.
But she's yours and you know her.
And she's tiny.
Yeah,
so I've got a big human-sized massage bed, but I used to have it in my clinic, but I wasn't using it.
For me as well, a lot of dogs would associate going on a table with the vets.
Yeah.
So they'll instantly go, what are you putting me on the table for?
Yeah.
What are you doing to me?
Yeah. I mean, it's loads better for us. I mean, can you... Yeah. Oh my God, like, what a dream. What a dream if I could sit and... I've hurt my shoulder, actually. I'm just trying to do an impression of it there. But, like, what an absolute dream. But I know that, loads of my dogs are not a prayer. I've seen some where they build, like, it's almost like a unit. So it's like a ramp that the dog walks up onto this big bed and it's, like, surrounded by walls. And then you work that way. That looks quite cool. So it's not like a standalone table. But still, I can't. There's some of the dogs that come to see me. No. It's fine. It's fine. I will absolutely obliterate all of my joints to ensure that they have a nice session.
That's another thing as well. I can't do my level 4 because I can't get in my treadmill.
What?
So the level 4 hydro, you have to be able to get in your treadmill.
Well, you do pole vaulting. What's that about?
So a lot of people, you can get in the treadmills. They have the little things at the side, and they have little seats. And I learned in a treadmill like that.
Yeah.
But obviously mine has the pull out, so I can, and it has the height for the little dog, so I can perform all that I need to perform.
Yeah.
Obviously breaking my spine and process.
Of course, yeah. Giving yourself IVD.
Yeah. but I can't get my level 4 because I can't get in my treadmill.
That's madness. That's mad. Because I've seen you work. And I've seen you work on my dogs, and I am very precious about my dogs and handling skills. And like, so I've taken my dogs to hydrotherapy before. Different centres. Did a lot of pull work with Rodney, and he hated it. Yeah. He hated it. We had a lovely therapist that we used to work with, and it wasn't anything to do with her. We tried everything to get him moving in a pool because he's got bilateral grade 2 luxatilla, but that's secondary to a hypermobility diagnosis. And this boy would only swim with his forelimbs, and he would just tuck his back ones up and just not use them.
Yeah.
We tried bobbles, we tried little rubber booties, we tried everything. Not a prayer. The therapist was really lovely with him though. But then equally I've trialed other therapists who they just weren't very fucking nice. And I'm sorry, but their handling skills were absolutely fucking appalling. Especially when you've got dogs that are sensitive to intentional touch. Like Rodney is a very sensitive boy. He's a very sensitive boy. Loves a cuddle, but if he thinks you're trying to palpate something, he's like a fucking worm, and he's like, oh my God, I can't possibly be touched right now. And it's you just haven't got a prayer. You haven't got a prayer of assessing him. But when he came in your treadmill, he did really well.
They all did.
Because you didn't fucking touch him, and you just let him.
Most
just
first
stand.
sessions, in fact, you can probably say my first 2 to 3 sessions, I never get hands on with them.
Yeah.
Unless I have one that takes to it instantly, which is very few and far between.
Yeah.
I don't touch them. This week is my first. He's a dash hound as well, Marvin.
Marvin.
I've got a collie coming called Julian.
Julian the collie.
And Marvin's my first one. Has been excited for a ball rather than treats. And he's my first, and literally he was just like, I'll walk for you for nothing for this ball. And he let me get hands on with him and steady his spine. Did brilliant. So it's all finding what works for the dog. Yeah.
Because again, it comes like with treats and stuff like that. It's very case to case dependent. I like to use treats initially if we have to, but usually I tell people just keep them in your pocket for now. Let me just see. Let me just gauge. Because if I can get hands on without treats,
happy
days. But if we need a little bit of something, but it's always making sure that the pet parent and the dog knows that they can move away.
Yeah.
They can move away. If they don't like it, they move away. So whether that's, they've been fed treats and then they're given a reset, or the dog goes, and I go, oh, we just give them a little reset. They want a break, but they're feeling conflicted right now because they want a treat.
Yeah.
So whether or not dogs have treats in my sessions, it's down to the pet parent.
Yeah.
Are we going to get to a point where we can be hands-on a bit quicker? Yes, we are. That's just the truth of the matter. Does it create conflict? It will in some instances, but we take it so slow.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So slow.
It's very rare that I get a patient that literally will take to it.
Yeah, because it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
If a massage is weird, going into a treadmill is
basically like,
weird.
why am I in a fish tank?
Yeah, help me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty much they're like, I don't like it, I don't like the sounds, and then some of them don't
and
like
it's
the
not
water.
even that. It's not even that noisy.
No.
It's pretty quiet.
It's just, I think it's just the sounds, the smells, and...
It's a weird concept.
Yeah. I always try, I get them in first, and then just see if they'll walk in the water towards me without the belt going. If we can get that...
Yeah.
You're right, Lily.
Lily, absolute tartlet.
God, baby, yeah. If I can get them doing that, and then what I tend to do is if little ones are, I'll roll them back.
Yeah.
And then get them to walk towards me again.
Nice.
And then build up to, let's walk on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And see how we go.
Nice.
And I do like, that's one good thing, because I'm mobile and I'm little, it's not back to back to back to back. Like a big centre where they're banging them in, one after another.
Yeah, it's like a conveyor belt, which you get because they've got the
overheads.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have like, for me, I can be like, right, well, we can take as much time as we need.
Yeah.
There's nobody waiting to come in.
Yeah.
There's no pressure.
Yeah. I know, she's like a proper baby. She'll sit there now like all day. Honestly, you can have I'll give you 20 quid and you can have I need a day off.
Oh, I've got a Lily at home though, a human Lily.
A human Lily?
Now I've got a baby Lily.
So there you go, that is mine and Helen's conversation. As you can tell, we can chat a glass eye to sleep, and I've got another episode recorded with the wonderful Helen. Now, if you have enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to like, share and subscribe. Ensure you check out Helen on her socials. But for now, lots of love to you and your dogs, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.